Yeah, and I spoke to a friend of mine who's a psychologist, and he said, and I let him in a little bit to some of the stuff that I'd done over the last 20 odd years, my childhood as well. And he was like, Mike, that's a that's a lot
Yeah,
to
yeah,
hold. That's a
yeah,
lot of I mean, I was surrounded by terrorists and terrorism for 20 years.
yeah,
I'd have to view execution videos, and I can
yeah,
speak to people
yeah,
about attacks and
yeah,
potential attacks and the stress of getting it right, and
yeah. So your nervous system's normalized fight or flight.
100%.
Yeah,
I'm always like, my HRV is rubbish
yeah.
because it's constantly zzz.
It's exciting though, from a high performance perspective, from a upgrade perspective, from a leadership perspective, to know that you've got that to lean into.
Oh, it comes back to self-belief. Mate, I genuinely believe I can do anything.
Yeah,
That's not an arrogant
yeah,
statement.
yeah,
I mean, just my track record says I can, so I
yeah,
know I can,
yeah.
and that is great in terms of the future because it's wide open, isn't it?
Mm, mm,
Which
mm.
way do I want to go? I can go anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
I suppose the challenge with that is choosing the right path.
So today I'm joined by a fascinating guest, a man who I've recently connected with in the city of Leeds, Mike Bates. Mike, how are you, mate?
I'm good. I'm
Yeah,
really good, Craig. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm looking forward to this conversation, man. It's been
yeah.
a long time coming.
Me too, because I felt a good connection with you, and yeah, I'm looking forward to having more connections with you. So, Mike, I'm going to let you introduce yourself because you are many things. You've had a eventful life, and yeah, I'm fascinated by you. You are, in my eyes, like a real life action man. I know that you've been referred to as a modern day James Bond as well. Mike, just tell us like who you are, what you now identify as. I know you're always transforming and your identity changes, but you know, what you're known as today.
Oh, that's a big question to start with. Who am I? Um, well, I think fundamentally, I'm a family man.
Yeah.
I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a friend before anything else. And I think as we'll talk through, I suppose, those things you referred to there as parts, elements of my life, some which I'm still doing now and some which I'm not. Ultimately, they've all been aligned behind a North Star, Craig,
Yeah.
and that is to help others and to serve.
Yeah.
So if I ask myself the question, who am I? I kind of my initial kind of instinct of an answer is I'm here to help other people.
Of course, I get you.
Now, there's an issue with that because who's helping me? And I don't mind speaking openly, mate. If you know me well enough, and you do, I think I'm an open book. Me, I wear my
Mm,
heart on my sleeve.
mm,
Last couple of weeks have been really challenging for me personally. We might dig into that later, I suppose. But yeah, I've had an interesting life, one that hasn't been um, done yet by anyone else in terms of the collection of experience I've had.
mm-hmm.
But they've all led me to this point, mate. And I think to your initial point there around transformation, I'm still trying to understand truly who I am. I think we
Yeah.
all are, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah. So you're an ex-commando. You've got a thriving jiu-jitsu school in Leeds. Good on you. We spoke about how that touches your heart, how it's connecting people, especially men. And you're an entrepreneur, and you've got a real interest in men's mental health slash leadership.
Yeah, and that's because I know that when I transitioned out of a 20-year career serving our country, I felt different,
Mm,
and I'd hit midlife at the same time, and COVID happened, and all this stuff kind of came
mm,
together, and I started to look out into the world and say, if I'm feeling different, and I like to think I'm a pretty resilient,
yeah,
self-believing guy who can go out and do stuff.
yeah,
What about perhaps the man on the street who doesn't feel like they're able to do that?
mm,
And so, really, over the last 5 years, my focus has been on trying to build communities for other people to connect with each other.
yeah,
And again, we'll talk about the ocean row in a little while, I'm sure. But having spent 46 days truly alone, isolated, the most profound lesson I took from that experience was that nothing good happens alone.
yeah,
And the thing, like we're doing right now, this connection, you talked about connection, that really is what life's all about.
yeah,
And so I'm trying to create opportunities for people to connect, mate.
yeah. Beautiful, mate. Submission and simple too, right?
It's life.
Not complicated, is it?
I think we overcomplicate it.
Yeah,
I think we get wrapped up and stuck in all this stuff.
yeah,
But actually, it's quite simple.
yeah.
We've got to understand ourselves.
Mm,
We've got to be open with ourselves enough, I believe, to transform and evolve because that is living,
yeah,
you know, and trying to be that next best version of ourselves, whatever that is.
yeah,
But ultimately, we have to do that with other people.
yeah, for sure.
We tell ourselves we can do it alone.
Yeah,
You can't. And I know you can't
yeah,
because I've been on my own,
yeah,
properly alone,
yeah,
and it's devastating.
yeah. I hear. I just had a big wake up call not long ago. I actually moved to live in Peru. It was a dream of mine, and but I found myself in Peru in the mountains with a fucking spectacular view, waking up doing yoga every morning with the snow-capped peak in front of me, but lonely as fuck.
Which sounds idyllic, right? It
Yeah,
sounds
but
perfect.
lonely, lone wolf, and best. I mean, in one way though, it was the best 5 months of my life. Life slapped me across the face and said, "Mate, it's time to prioritize community." So I'm back now in Hebden Bridge, not far from here. I've not had a car for 5 years. I bought myself a car. I'm connecting with all men's. I'm connecting with all mates. I'm connecting with my old rugby club. I'm connecting with friends, family, and yeah, the next chapter of my life is about community.
But it's not until you've been alone. So you've been in Peru alone. I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, truly alone. Like
Yeah,
I suppose when I set off on that journey to row across the ocean, I thought it'd be like going to prison, like a nautical soldier confinement, right?
mm,
Then after about a day, I suddenly realised that even people in prison see the guards and
yeah,
hear other
yeah,
people.
yeah.
I didn't see anyone.
Wow.
So when you're truly separated from
Yeah,
humanity,
yeah,
you do realise that. Well, it's not even a conscious thought, mate. It's a visceral longing to
yeah.
connect.
100%.
Mate, I was talking to anything that moved, like a
Yeah,
bird flew up. I'd had a full blown conversation
yeah,
with a bird or a fish or the moon or
yeah,
the stars, because it was just this longing to be a human again. And if we're anything, we're social creatures.
yeah,
And so going to Peru on your own, looking at a snow-capped mountain and doing yoga sounds bliss. I'm sure there's people out there right now listening to this in a commute on the way to work thinking that
yeah.
sounds like heaven.
Of course, yeah,
But we're here to tell you
yeah,
it's no good unless you're with other people.
for sure, for sure. So, mate, you mentioned earlier in your words, I think you said we're constantly looking for the next upgrade,
The best version of
the best
ourselves.
version of ourselves,
Yeah.
and that fascinates me. The word transformation is probably my favorite word. Um, One, because I've seen how I've transformed since I was a stuck-up little tough guy kid from Wigan who thought he was hard to where I am now, but also the transformation I've seen in the clients I work with and the guests that I've spoke to on my podcast. It's important to share these stories because there's a lot of men out there who still live with a mask on. They're terrified to take it off, and I totally get that. And there's an inkling that they could be a better version of themselves, but they just don't know how to go there. So I'm fascinated by stories like you. Um, so I want to journey through your life and get an idea of how you were initially shaped as a man and how you've managed to kind of step into more, if you like, refined versions of yourself as you've grown older. And as we know, a lot of that comes from challenge and pain, doesn't it? Unfortunately. Um, so I know your father left you when you was 10,
Yeah.
and we'll come back to that. But the first 10 years of your life, you're in Doncaster, which is probably a bit like Wigan. You know, not many role models around. Spending little bit of time on the street. You know, working class. What did you initially, looking back, what did you download for the first 10 years of your life about what it means to be a bloke in Doncaster? What do you remember?
This is not going to be a great answer because I don't remember a lot.
Right,
And I think that is because of the trauma I felt when my dad did leave when I was 10.
got you.
What I do recall from those younger years was we didn't have a lot, but we didn't want for a lot. Now, my dad was absent from me being about 6 years old because he'd gone out of London chasing money and trying to build a better life for us. I think he was trying
Mm,
to do that. But I don't think he realised at the time that actually the most important thing was being around.
yeah,
So I remember being the eldest of three kids and feeling like I didn't really fit in,
right,
even to our little family unit. I felt like I was a bit of a black sheep, a bit different. Now, we're fortunate to have an amazing mum who, gave us everything she possibly could, but she struggled on her own. I remember also this kind of both my granddads were miners, and it was that kind of generation where we go around. You had to go see your granddad on a Sunday,
Mm.
and he would sit in his chair. His chair.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to sit in that chair. No
Yeah.
one sits in there.
Yeah.
He'd have a three-piece suit on
Wow.
with a Jack Russell at the side of him, and he'd be watching the politics. And woe betide anyone who spoke. You were
Yeah.
silent, and you sat there
Yeah.
and wondered, what the hell are we doing here? By the way,
Yeah.
it was a weird kind
Yeah.
of space, right?
Yeah.
But these men had grafted. So I think what I understood a man to be back then is a hard-working man
Grafter.
who went out and provided for his family,
Yeah.
even if that meant working away, which my dad did. But that all changed at 10 years old because my dad left.
Yeah.
And I now know that it was probably, and I don't want to focus on that as kind of like a thing, and I don't feel any bad will towards my dad, even though he lives half an hour from here and I hadn't seen him for years. I haven't spoken to him for years. But I know that moment to be transformational insofar as it altered me as a person.
Mm.
And I think when I look back on it now, Craig, and this sounds odd to say it, I'm grateful for it
Yeah.
because it pushed me out into the world and said,
Mm.
right,
Mm.
go find something. What are you going to be? Who are you
Mm.
going to be?
Mm.
Get out there and do it. And that
Mm.
kind of ultimately led me towards the military.
Yeah. And that kind of reframing, if you like, is in my judgment wisdom. So well done for that. I'm sure you've had to look long and hard to kind of
A lot of introspection. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
come up
Thank
with
you.
that judgment.
Yeah, and trying to, and that's the process of trying to understand your real self, your authentic self, right? You use the word mask. The Latin translation of mask is persona.
Yeah.
We're often wandering around with a persona of ourselves. Where
Mm.
I like to think, even though some may say I'm polarizing
Mm.
in the way I live my life, if nothing else, I'm authentic.
Yeah.
And what you see is what you get.
Yeah. Yeah. So, mate, age 10, your dad leaves. I'm guessing you had to step up. You're the eldest.
Big time.
I'm guessing you thought, fuck this, I need to be the protector here. I can be the man here. If dad's gone, fuck him. So I'm thinking that's helped somewhat to shape you as a very responsible man. But what did you lose anything? You're 10, going into your teens,
Greg, I lost everything, mate.
Mm.
I dropped from the top. This is the impact it had on me as a child. And anyone out there, who's an adult who's got children who are subject to divorce, you've got to understand this. Even though you'll tell yourself and your kids will tell you it's okay, it's not okay.
Mm.
The trauma that child feels is profound
Yeah.
and life altering for
Yeah.
the rest of their life.
Yeah.
And I'm still affected by that in the way that I feel insecure around my relationships.
Yeah.
Because all I've ever known is people leave me.
Yeah.
And that has manifested itself in my personal relationships as, jealousy or envy or,
Right.
insecurity or whatever, right? And that'll last forever, I think. But when my dad left, the wheels fell off for me, mate. I went from the top set at school to the bottom. We weren't poor, but we didn't have loads, but I ended up having to have free school meals. That meant you had a pink ticket to get your dinner, which meant everyone knew you were poor.
Yeah.
It went further than that. We couldn't afford school uniforms, so I had to get free school uniforms.
Right.
So now you're in a uniform that don't fit.
Yeah.
It's secondhand. It's scruffy.
Yeah.
You stand out for all the wrong reasons. So I just went to the streets, mate.
Yeah.
I just started smoking weed
Right.
to escape. And age 13, I was smoking weed most nights. Age 14, I was drinking. Age 15, I got arrested for the first time, drunk on a school night,
Mm.
dancing on top of a car in Doncaster Town Centre with my PE teacher.
Right.
Madness. Because I was a drummer, I was playing in bands, I was trying to fit in,
Yeah.
getting it all wrong.
Yeah.
So I'd lost it all first. But at the same time, I do recall my mum. I remember sitting on the top step at our house, hearing the arguments of my mum and dad and the door slam and he'd disappear off. And then wandering downstairs as a 10-year-old kid and put my arm around my mum as she sobbed because she didn't want him to go.
Yeah.
And then my mum struggling and drinking and,
Wow.
and being there. And my younger brother and sister were My, my brother's 2 years younger than me. My sister's 2 years younger than him. So I'm 10, 11, 12. They're 10, 8, 7.
Mm,
Like they're not
mm,
old enough to get it.
mm.
So I was the only one who really understood. And to your point, I feel like I did my best to
Yeah,
support my mum and
yeah,
to protect them. And when I reflect back on that now, I know that to be leadership.
yeah,
And so it's not a surprise to me that I've ascended to leadership positions in the military, in the MOD,
yeah,
in my own life quite easily.
yeah.
I've been leading since I was 10-year-old, mate.
Of course, of course.
But not a childhood I'd want for anyone else.
Just on a side note, Mike, we'll come back to that in a minute. What's running through my mind now is based on what you've just told me and needing to step up and give and give and give and do and look for somewhere to provide for your mum and your two younger siblings. You know, you've stepped into responsibility. You've stepped into I've got to do this. There's probably part of you that's grown up thinking I'm fucking capable. Has there been a part of your life where it's been difficult to ask for help
It's always difficult to ask for help, Craig,
because you're so capable?
because I'm so maybe because I think one of the things that that experience does to you, because of the rejection you felt
Yeah,
and the feeling that you don't want to lose anyone else,
yeah,
it kind of makes you a bit of a people pleaser.
yeah,
So, and maybe that's a part of me going out there and trying to help people is that I want people to like me,
yeah. I get you.
on a basic level, and
I resonate
that's
with that.
pretty deep, right?
Yeah,
But like that's
yeah,
I think what it is,
yeah,
or it's certainly in part.
yeah,
And then at the same time, that builds not so much capability. I believe it builds self belief,
yeah,
and I've got a framework I call my wall of evidence for that, right? And so you craft self belief over time.
mm,
So when you are faced with a challenge and you go out there and walk the path between you now and the next best version of yourself, you place a brick in the wall
yeah,
and you do it again. And this wall gets bigger and stronger and
yeah,
becomes this fortress of self belief. Well, I've been building this wall of evidence since I was 10.
yeah,
It's a fucking big wall.
yeah, yeah,
And so I can go row across oceans. I can start new businesses in COVID.
yeah,
I can front up to terrorists face to face
yeah,
because I believe I can do anything.
yeah. You can face adversity, can't you?
And that's why I'm grateful for that childhood in a
Mm,
way, because without that, if I'd have been born with a silver spoon in my mouth,
yeah,
we wouldn't have been sat here having this conversation today, pal.
yeah.
There's
Of
no doubt
course,
about it.
of course. Um, so you mentioned when you were 15, you were sometimes out on the streets, getting into trouble,
Always out.
smoking weed. There was a light at the end of the tunnel, though, wasn't there, during some of those years? Your granddad, your dad's gone, but your granddad's around and he's probably felt, I need to step up a little bit. Tell us about the role he played in your life, mate.
Yeah. It's funny. You said his name there. I've literally got goosebumps again. And
Yeah,
outside, we were talking about this
yeah,
before we start recording. Whenever I say his name, or someone says his name, I get goosebumps, right? Maybe he's with us. I don't know.
yeah. So
Um,
your body remembers, doesn't it?
yeah. 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 So he was the guy that he was the only man. I had my godfather as well. My uncle Mick was someone that I really respected, but my granddad was the only guy that I really looked up to. And I used the word polarizing earlier. He was polarizing so far as he was a very strong-willed individual. He'd worked down the mines, grafted all his life. He was a big bloke, hands like shovels, 6'2",
Grafter.
grafter, didn't take any shit off anyone. Even like little things, like he used to walk from Doncaster town centre. He had two massive carrier bags. They were working class, right? They buy all the fruit and veg off the markets. And it's about 4 miles back home. And he'd carry these bags all the way back home full.
Yeah,
And he wouldn't put them down. Like he's just the mindset he had. But there was a softness to him as well. And I kind of saw myself in him. And I think the kind of guy I am today has been shaped a lot
mm,
through what I saw in him. And I'm grateful for that. Is that I never thought I would miss anyone
mm,
when they passed, but I miss him most days.
yeah, yeah,
Um, I mean, it kind of went full circle, and I'm so grateful for this. But he died in my arms,
yeah,
so he
yeah,
he was the man that I looked up to, and he would put me straight. I remember once I was late for dinner with him and my nan, and he was waiting for me in the driveway, and he gave me it.
yeah,
Don't you ever be late for your nan.
yeah. How old were you then?
18.
So really, he's being a father, though, isn't
Yeah, don't you ever be late for your nan.
he? Yeah.
Things like, when I had kids, he was like, because I've got two boys, let them argue with you. They've got to have an opinion. They've got to be men.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the moment they answer back to the mum, no, it's not acceptable.
Yeah.
Things like that, lessons like that, which I think are really important
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
men to understand
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
boundaries of what's allowed and
Yeah.
what's perhaps not allowed. So I'm very grateful for that. And I say he died in my arms, Craig,
Oh,
just over 10 years ago. And it was a wonderful moment. And if I can share with you that moment, because it's important for people to understand.
please.
So he'd been ill and he was in hospital. I'll spare the details, but he was in hospital and we knew, there wasn't long left. And there was my mum, his only child, my nan, the love of his life, and me in the room. And we'd been sat with him for about a day, maybe a bit longer. And I said to my nan and my mum, I said, look, just go home and get a shower. I'll stay with him. So I walked my nan and my mum down to their car, a journey of about 10 minutes, and I walked back. And in the time it took me to get back, I opened the door and I looked at him and he'd completely changed. He'd started to die.
Yeah.
And he was waiting for my nan to leave. He didn't want my nan to
Yeah.
be there to see
Yeah.
him die.
Got you.
So I kind of put him in my arms and I was talking to him. And anyone who's been around anyone who's in that last process of dying
Yeah.
knows the breath is kind of like, and he would take these breaths in and then there'd be nothing for a while. And so I'd stroke his head and I'd give him a kiss and I'd say, don't worry, Grandad Mike's here, you're okay, you're with me. And he'd breathe and then nothing. And when I spoke to him again, he'd breathe again. I thought,
Mm.
this is weird. So I started timing and I made sure when I spoke to him, it was like random times. It wasn't every 20 seconds, every 30 seconds. And every time I spoke to him, he took a breath in and I knew he could hear me. I knew he was communicating with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not a spiritual man in any
Yeah.
sense, really, or I've had a couple of experiences, but I knew in that moment he was communicating back to me.
Yeah.
And it was just a wonderful end to his life and an opportunity for me to care for him when he needed it and to give back, mate. And I'm
Yeah.
very grateful for it.
It's beautiful, isn't it, to watch someone die, especially when they're as precious as your granddad was to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It brings back memories that I was there with my dad when he died as well.
Wow.
Same kind of thing. Yeah, held his hand. His last breath was like, and then like his body was like,
It's
gone,
peaceful.
gone.
Yeah. And people are afraid of death and they're afraid of the end. But I think if you, again, goes back to that point about connection, if you're with the people you love and care for, what more do you want?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Don't matter what house you're
yeah,
in, what car's parked out on the drive.
yeah,
If you've got the people that you love and care for the most with you in that moment,
yeah,
I think you've cracked it, man.
yeah, for sure. Imagine if your granddad wasn't around during your teenage years, mate.
Well, there's no doubt I'd have been in a very different place. As I said, I'd got arrested at that point. I was, well, without him, there was no rudder. There was no one to keep me in check. So I'd have gone, God knows which way I'd have gone. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah,
Fundamentally, I was a good person.
yeah.
I'm not a bad guy, but yeah, I don't think I want to consider what my life might have been if it
I
wasn't for him.
hear, I hear, I hear. All right. Um, so we're kind of getting close, aren't we, to the time that you went in the Marines. Anything you want to share about what shaped you before you went into the Marines, or shall we go straight into that?
I think just that, at that age, like we all are, we're looking for, in your late teens, you're looking out into the world, aren't you? Particularly as a man, because it's within us to go out and do stuff. That's hardwired into us. Go forage and find and create and
Yeah,
provide. And so I'm looking out into the world and I met a guy who'd been in the Navy and he spoke about the Royal Marines and he told me that all he'd ever seen him do was fire guns off the back of ships and chase women around. I thought,
yeah.
that sounds pretty good when you're
I heard,
19.
yeah, I heard that before.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I was like, okay, so I legged it down to Sheffield's careers office and started the process of joining the Royal Marines. But you couldn't join if you had asthma.
Mm,
And I'd had asthma all my life. So I went back to my GP, who was the guy who delivered me. So he'd known me from the first second of my life.
Wow.
And I said to him, look, I've got this dream. I've got to get out of Doncaster. All my mates are staying. They're all just getting the same jobs as their dads,
Yeah.
living in the same village,
Yeah.
drinking in the same pubs.
Yeah.
So I've got to get out. I said, but I need you to write a letter to say, I don't need me inhalers.
Yeah.
And he was like, and he looked at me, and it was this moment where, I won't tell you his name because I don't want to get him into trouble, but he looked at me, he was like, you don't use your inhalers, do you? And I was like, and he's like, checking his head. I was like, no. He was like, okay, good. And he wrote this thing for me. And it was a real gift, mate, because
Yeah. Yeah.
without
yeah.
that,
Yeah, it wouldn't have
I
happened.
wouldn't have got in. And he kind of saw the bigger picture, I suppose, and the opportunity that was in front of me.
How old was you when you went in?
I was 20 when I joined.
And you had a real fire in you, didn't you, to get
I said,
get
get
in
out of
and
Doncaster.
get out of Doncaster?
Get out of Doncaster. Go and make my mark in the world. And go and there was no one there to give anything to me.
Yeah.
So I had to go and make it happen.
Yeah.
And it was a great decision.
All right, mate. Let's go into that then, because I know it was a significant part of your life, your time in the Marines. How did it shape you? You know, and I know you had a lot of different significant experiences, and please share those. But generally speaking, how did it shape you?
Oh, it's fundamental, right? I mean, look, what the Marines do really well is they offer a place for anybody to come into in an ethos, the commando ethos, the commando spirit. And so it was a merry band of misfits, mate. There was like 60 of us in this room. And there were guys there who were 16, 17 years old, I think youngest. And there was a guy that was 28. And there was hard guys. And there were guys that said they were hard,
Right.
but we found out they weren't.
Right.
And there were super quiet guys who turned out to be ninjas and everyone in between, right?
Yeah.
But probably none of them had fitted in where they came from. And they found their tribe together.
Yeah.
In the Corps. So it was training was a wonderful experience. Hardest basic military training in the world, right? 30 weeks at the time. The commando course. Week 15, they award something called the Craig Medal. It's like a big bronze medal for the best recruit at the halfway point through training. And I got it. I was the
Great.
best guy there. And then
That must have been powerful for you.
well, it's the first time anyone had said, you can do something.
That's what I mean, especially a man who's given you an award
Right.
and blessed you.
Oh, and you look up to the training team, mate. I mean, they're like gods.
Yeah.
You know, anyone with a green beret on, if you're a recruit in Marine training, these are like gods, right? Yeah, well, in fact, interesting, mate. I've not actually thought about what you've just said there before. They were probably the first real like male idols that I'd had, apart from my granddad, right?
And we need, I mean, call it what word you want. We need a blessing from a significant older man. It's like, oh, fucking hell.
I've been seen.
Can I do it?
Yeah.
I can. And then, boom.
Yeah.
We need that.
Yeah. So, mate, so it was a wonderful moment of kind of being seen by someone and being noticed and being good at something, right? But then 7 weeks later, week 22, you've got to do the bottom field pass out, which is where all the assault courses, people have seen it on TV, whatever. And there's 4 tests, and one of them is you've got to climb a 30-foot rope outside, 30-pounder kit on, boots, denims. And it's the first of the 4 tests. And I could do everything else in training. I was the best guy there.
Yeah.
Couldn't climb this rope, man.
Wow.
And you get 3 attempts to stay in your troop with your mates, your brothers. And I failed all 3. And I fell off this rope 20 foot in the air. I'd never climbed it to the top. Fell off 20 feet in the air into the gravel. Got whisked off, got fixed. And you go into kind of a holding pattern in training called Hunter Company, where you get fixed and you do a bit of extra training. And then I got put back into commando training with a new troop, which didn't feel the same because it weren't my mates.
Yeah.
So that's difficult, really hard, because now you're kind of on your own doing it. And it's hard enough when you're not on your own. And you get 3 more attempts to climb this rope. And I failed the first 2. And I remember, literally like it was yesterday, standing at the foot of this rope, and this PTI, it was called Corporal Toes. I don't know how I remember his name. This is 25 years ago, right? But I remember his name. Came over to me and he said, listen, you were the best guy here. He said, I don't want you to think about anything that's happened before. I want you to do one thing for me. I was like, tell me. He said, get hold of that rope, close your eyes, don't think about anything else, just keep climbing. He said, don't stop. That's all you got to do. It's like, what have I got to lose? This is my last attempt to stay in the Royal Marines. So I closed my eyes, got hold of this rope, and I started climbing and climbing and climbing for what felt like hours, inching my way up this rope, and then literally, boom, My head hit the metal bar that was holding it 30 foot off the ground. I looked down in amazement to this guy smiling at me, and I'm like, "I've fucking done it."
Wow.
And it was that moment, mate, that showed me the power of this. And that quite often, my strapline for life, as you know, is live a life without limits. The
Mm,
only limitations we have in life are the ones we place on ourselves. And I told
mm.
myself I couldn't climb that rope.
Yeah, yeah,
I
of
could
course.
climb it months ago,
Yeah,
but I told myself I couldn't, so I couldn't do it. And the moment I let that go and I became free
yeah,
and open,
yeah.
I could do anything. And it was a fundamentally life changing moment for me.
What a great story that is. And what great leadership from the PTI to get you out your head and into your body.
Yeah. Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. And so continued through commando training. And then a few weeks before we passed out, we were on Dartmoor doing river crossing, cliff assault drills. Cold, wet, tired, hungry as you always were. And one of the training team had driven off Dartmoor to get some supplies. We're driving back in the Land Rover, had the radio on, and heard the story of 9/11 unfolding on the radio.
Right.
And so we were sat down in this field in Dartmoor and told basically, if you get through the next 3 weeks of training, it still wasn't a given, Craig. We're 27 weeks in.
Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't a given you're going to get to 30.
Yeah.
If you do, you're going straight out. And I was posted to 4-5 Commando, a spearhead for the armed forces. And we had our bags packed, 24 hours notice to move. And we were the first conventional British troop to deploy to Afghanistan to try and find bin Laden in early 2002.
Wow. Talk to me about that.
I mean, it's what everyone dreams of. Soldiering at the highest level,
Hmm.
protecting your country in the aftermath of the greatest terrorist atrocity we'd ever seen. And you're flown out we sailed out actually on HMS Ocean to the Gulf. Got the call from the Prime Minister, flew in helicopters to Bagram Air Base, which at the time was in the high mountains of the Tora Bora region. But it wasn't even a camp at that point. There was some CIA, a detachment of British and American Special Forces, and then us.
Right.
And the 10th Mountain Division were there. They were the ones. And if anyone's seen the recent Netflix documentary, Finding Bin Laden, there's a moment in there when the Americans say they could have got him.
Right.
And they didn't get him. They let him go. That area is where we went to try and find him in the aftermath of that moment.
Yeah.
And the Americans are getting battered. And they said to us, you cannot go to the mountains for more than 3 days.
Mm.
It's 11,000 feet. We've got our body weight on our backs. Most mined country on earth. Taliban waiting for you. And they were taking heavy casualties. Can't go in the mountains for more than 3 days. Our first deployment into the mountains was for 43 days.
Wow.
And we never came back to camp. We just went into the mountains and never came back. And we were finding all the Taliban caves, blowing them up. And the Americans were taking heavy casualties. We didn't lose anyone. In fact, we hardly got into any firefights because the Taliban could see how professional we were. They could see we were ready for it. And they didn't want to get involved. And I was there for 6 months.
Wow.
What a great experience as a
Yeah. Yeah.
22-year-old kid.
So all the time in Afghanistan, no casualties?
None.
Okay.
None. Different type of warfare. That when we look back on Afghanistan now, we think of Helmand Province, we think of the 2010s. I've got friends who've lost limbs and friends who've died in that arena. It was different in the early 2000s. There was less IEDs. It was more conventional warfare. But they just didn't want to fight us, mate.
Okay.
And they were just running. The Taliban were running. Bin Laden had gone by then. He was in Pakistan, as we know. So yeah, we did a good job of kind of building Bagram Air Base and patrolling the mountains, getting rid of all the Taliban caves, blowing them all up, capturing some Taliban, and then we came back to Arbroath and drunk a lot of beer and had a few fights and got it out of our system.
So how long in the Marines?
5.5 years.
Yeah.
As I got back from Afghanistan, I got a call from my commanding officer. It's not a call you ever want to get, right? Like, why? What have I done? I'm in trouble again.
Mm.
And he said, come up and see me. I walked into his office. He said, I want to promote you to Lance Corporal. And these are his words, but he said, for your natural ability to command your peers.
Mm.
It goes back to what I said about doing it from a young age, right? I just naturally could lead.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd only done 11 months as a Marine, Craig.
Right.
And no one got promoted before 4 years. Like, it was just unheard of.
Yeah.
But he'd seen something in me. So the following year, we deployed to Iraq for the war, 2003, to topple Saddam Hussein. We were supporting special forces in the Western Desert, and I had a section of 8 men. One guy had done 15 years, one had done 8, a few had done 4, I'd done 11 months,
Mm.
but I was in charge. And it was a great experience because it showed me that leadership isn't about time served or experience. Actually, it's about how much you care about the people you lead.
Mm. Mm.
So 6 months in Afghanistan, 6 months in Iraq, and then 6 months in Northern Ireland the following year. 3 years, 3 operational tours, 3 medals, 3 amazing formative opportunities to discover the art of leadership and to feel what, and you'll know from your sporting career, feel what high performance really
Yeah.
feels like.
Yeah.
Very lucky.
So, Mike, 5.5 years in the Commandos. Happened really fast, didn't it? A few baptisms of fire there, expeditions, leadership. Um, Before we go on to the next incredibly interesting part of your life, stay tuned. Any significant leaders you want to mention in those Marines years that you learned from? Like anyone stand out?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I've not been asked that question a lot, and I'm glad you did ask it. So there's a guy called Steph Moran who, when I was a young Marine in Afghanistan, he was the troop sergeant. So basically, for those who aren't aware, in a troop, you've got about 25, 30 Marines. It's led by a junior officer
Mhm.
who's a second lieutenant, straight out of training, ain't got a clue what they're doing.
Right.
So ultimately, the troop sergeant's in charge, and it's kind of his job to mentor the young second lieutenant and bring them on in leadership,
Yeah.
right? But they'd thrown this new company together, Whiskey Company and 4-5 Commando, and they were all brand new Marines. So they had to put their best guy in charge. So they put Steph Moran in charge. He was a mountain leader in the Royal Marines. Now, the mountain leaders their training is as hard as Special Forces selection, if not harder. But they choose to stay in the Marines and be mountain leaders rather than go SBS, SAS. So they're revered in the Marines. These guys are like the best.
Yeah.
And he was our troop sergeant. And he was the most phenomenal leader I've maybe I've ever seen.
Mm.
But there was something about him that I didn't know until last year. We
Right.
went to a 20-year reunion for the guys who went to
Yeah.
Afghanistan. And I remember chatting to him last year. He lives in Lebanon. He's head of security for some banks out there.
Right.
I never knew he was never a fully fledged commando. He was a reservist.
Wow.
And you asked about casualties in that first tour we had none. He ascended to become the regimental sergeant major of 4-5 Commando, the top non-commissioned spot in the Marines, really.
Yeah.
And he said to me last year at the reunion that his greatest ever achievement, because he'd been through all the Helmand stuff, he'd lost men, and he said his greatest ever achievement was taking 4-5 Commando as a unit back out to Afghanistan as the regimental sergeant major and bringing everyone else alive, back
Amazing.
alive.
Amazing.
Wonderful leader, mate. And and the reason he was so good is he was inspirational insofar as his actions were uber credible. Like he
Mm.
was just really good at what he did.
So he's integral.
Absolutely.
Mm.
But more than anything else, he desperately cared about us.
Yeah, it's
And it
interesting,
was the
that, isn't it?
love that I
Yeah.
felt, you know.
I would also perceive that to be a great leader, hard and soft.
Yeah, he's hard when he needed to be. I remember we went on a big mountain training package before Afghanistan, and we were in the middle of this massive night yomp. Everyone was no one had slept. We'd been walking for 12, 13 hours with loads of kit on our back. And he got everyone to get the water bottles out. And you carried 2. And he said, right, you've been drinking one, open your other water bottle up. I'm like, what's he on about? So we all opened our water bottles, and some of us hadn't filled it to the brim. Now, in commando training, you filled your water bottles to the brim because that last mouthful might be
Yeah.
what you need in a survival situation, right?
Yeah.
And because we hadn't filled it to the brim, he said, get ready for tomorrow. And we're like, we're not even done here yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got all the way through the night, your pants slept, hadn't eaten, been walking for 24 hours. Got back to camp. Everyone else sorted the kit out, went to bed. He said, get your trainers on. I'll see you at the front gate in 5 minutes. And he took us on an 8-mile run. He sat us, got us in a river, up to our necks in river, freezing cold. And he said, don't ever not fill your water bottles up again.
So you got the message.
We never did it again, mate.
Have you thanked him?
Yeah, I thanked him last year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good on you.
And I've mentioned to him a few times how important he was for me. And again, it was that kind of male role model, right? In
Yeah.
my early 20s,
Mm,
someone else I could look up to
mm,
who'd been there, done it, and I could kind of almost model some of my behaviors on.
yeah.
Yeah, great guy.
What was it that prompted you to leave the Marines?
Well, the Marines asked me to go back to Livingston and become an officer. So they'd seen this leadership in me. They wanted me to lead more broadly, command more men.
Yeah.
But that means that you've got to go back to commando training and do the course all over again. And I
Mm,
thought, I ain't doing that. Like once in a lifetime's enough.
yeah.
So I was heading down the special forces pathway and I was kind of along that route somewhere. But the thing that made me leave was the fact that I knew more than anything else, the one thing I wanted in my life was a family.
Mm,
The thing I didn't feel like I had as I wanted it as a
mm,
kid.
mm,
So I'm 25 at the time, and I'm like, if I go down special forces pathway, go to the SBS, I'm going to be in there for at least 10 years. I ain't getting out until I'm
mm,
35.
mm, mm.
Then I've got to try and start a family. That doesn't really work.
Yeah.
So I thought I'm going to leave now and I'm going to have a family. But I wanted to still serve, Craig. So I wanted to try and find something that I felt was a step up operationally, but could keep me at home. Because all the deployments at that time were 6 months away, not conducive to a family life.
Had you met your wife at that stage or not?
Not quite then. No, I met her
Okay.
2 years later,
Okay.
which I'm grateful for.
Yeah. So what happened after the Marines then? Talk
Well,
through that.
I applied for a job, as I said. I wanted to still serve operationally. I wanted to do good in the world, serve my country, but I wanted it to be a step up and I wanted to be at home. So I applied for a job in the Ministry of Defence um, to become a covert counter-terrorism operations leader. And I've got to be very careful about what I say and
I
those
get
the
you.
words I can say
Of
that.
course.
And that was within the intelligence and security fields of the MOD.
James Bond.
Well, they're your words, not mine, if anyone who's listening. People have described me as that. So the kind of work I did was covert, it was operational. But much like I was in training for the Marines when 9/11 happened, I was in training for this organization when 7/7 happened.
Okay.
So yet again, thrust into the busiest, most chaotic period of defense.
Yeah.
Running teams, gathering intelligence in lots of different ways, running agents, working undercover, all that kind of stuff you'd expect in that world. 15 years against the highest threat terrorists at a time when there was, I mean, people remember ISIS, right?
Mm,
I mean, it was dangerous back then.
mm.
Loads of people were trying to blow us up. And we were working behind the scenes in the shadows to try and keep our country safe. And so at the end of that, I can't talk too much about the detail of that work, of course.
Yeah.
But at the end of that period of my life, I then served our country for half of my entire life for 20 years,
Mm.
all centered around terrorism, fighting terrorism, keeping the country safe.
I've got a question for you. It's an important question from my perspective in the way that I look at what a transformational man is, what a brave man is. Because you've obviously showed bravery in your life from an early age. You've had to fucking step up, grit your teeth, get that fire, make a life for yourself, get out of Doncaster, um, lead men. I mean, you've obviously, from a young early age, had to step into the warrior archetype. You've had to. Me too, growing up. And often in my work with the men and in my life as well, it's at the expense of the relational, emotive, sensitive one. All that courage you built and all those pursuits and all those achievements and all that camaraderie and bravery and bonding, that's all wonderful. You're accomplishing, you're building confidence. How were you in relationships with women? Was that a struggle for you? Because it fucking was for me.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, I blew them all up.
Getting triggered left, right, and centre, right?
Yeah, I blew them all up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone I ever kind of cared for, I ruined.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't faithful. Put myself first, put their feelings last, put the country first.
Mm.
You know, I did a workshop yesterday for a business around mission and values. And you know, if your mission is keeping the country safe,
Yeah.
and that was the mission.
Yeah.
Pretty hard mission to not put everything behind.
Yeah.
So I'd work away all the time. I'd work every weekend, every overtime shift available. I'd
Yeah.
work it.
Yeah.
Not for the money, but because I wanted to serve, right? I wanted to
Yeah.
do good. And I fucking loved it, man. I mean,
Yeah.
who don't love mid-20s, following terrorists around, speaking to terrorists, like, it's James Bond shit, right? Like,
Of course.
it's amazing.
Of course. Of course.
So, yeah, I blew every relationship I had up. And when I look back now, of course, at the time, I was 20 odd. You're like, you're going to do it in my teens. But, I regret some of the behaviors and decisions that I made.
Yeah. Yeah.
I won't do them today.
I hear you, me too. But it's not easy because we've not had a model growing up of a man who is comfortable with his emotions, a man who can ask for his own needs to be met, a man who can repair in relationships, a man who can listen to a woman, a man who can hold the feminine. There's just no models.
No.
Becomes fucking really tough.
Yeah. Yeah. So you do what a lot of guys do, and you get it wrong, and you don't lean into that side of yourself because you are the tough guy, and that's what fucking blokes do.
Yeah, of course.
And then,
Of course. Well,
then you
it's-
meet someone, and you go,
Yeah,
"No, this is a bit different."
yeah. So, how long you been married?
Oh, I want to get this right. 16 years.
So you met your message, you met your missus, and you're smiling. She took something in you, obviously. That was potentially the doorway to bringing online another part of yourself. And I'm guessing there's been ups and downs. Um, what would she say if she was here now and I asked her two questions? The first one is, what do you love about Mike? What would she say?
I don't know. I'd like to think. I think she might say she can depend on me.
Dependability, responsibility.
She knows
That's
that.
your shit, right?
Yeah, and I go out and I move us forward in life. The great thing about the marriage that I've got and the wife I'm fortunate to have is that she's very different to me. Now that and occasionally, and it has this week, caused massive issues between us.
Mm,
Because I'm still that broken kid
mm,
inside, right? I still long for loving and I need to feel it all the time
yeah,
because otherwise I shit myself that someone's going to leave me, right? And
yeah,
sometimes, and Sarah would say this, like maybe she doesn't step into that place enough sometimes for me.
yeah, yeah,
But the greatest thing about us, and I think for all relationships that work, is that we're different. So I'm always moving us forward. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's where we're going next. Let's do this.
yeah,
And she's pulling at the reins a little bit,
yeah.
saying, actually,
Complimentary.
yeah, like, the best thing we can do is sit in the garden, have a cup of tea.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I need someone to remind me of that,
Yeah,
right?
Of course, of course, of course.
I'm very grateful to have her met.
And if I said to her, "What frustrates you about Mike?" What would she say?
Mate, how long have you got? I think you should be here for hours. I think it's that. I mean, and I frustrate myself with this inability to sit still.
Yeah,
There's not a lot of peace
Yeah.
in my life.
yeah,
I can't slow down. I
Yeah.
find it very hard to sit still and watch TV or
Yeah, yeah.
relax
yeah,
or do anything for me.
yeah,
And it's the one thing that I haven't got right, and I need to become better at that, and I know that.
So it's a doorway of potential for you.
Yeah, definitely. So
Yeah.
I need to work on that myself because it's something that I tell other people to do,
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
and I create opportunities for everyone to come on
Yeah.
retreats and invest in themselves.
Yeah.
But I don't do it for me.
It can't be easy for you because there's been a lot of time in your life when you've had to. We need to fucking survive here.
A lot of
You
trauma
know what
as
I mean?
well.
I need to survive here.
Yeah.
So it's been survival, hasn't it? What next? What next?
Yeah, and I spoke to a friend of mine who's a psychologist, and he said, and I let him in a little bit to some of the stuff that I'd done over the last 20 odd years, my childhood as well, and he was like, Mike, that's a lot
Yeah.
to hold. That's a
Yeah.
lot of trauma. I mean, I was surrounded by terrorists and terrorism for 20 years.
Yeah.
I'd have to view execution videos and I
Yeah,
can speak to people
yeah.
about attacks and
Yeah.
potential attacks and the stress of getting it right and
Yeah. So your nervous system's normalized fight or flight.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm always like, my HRV is rubbish
Yeah.
because it's constantly zzz.
It's exciting though, from a high performance perspective, from a upgrade perspective, from a leadership perspective, to know that you've got that to lean into.
Oh, it comes back to self-belief. Mate, I genuinely believe I can do anything.
Yeah,
That's not an arrogant
yeah,
statement.
yeah,
I mean, just my track record says I can, so I
yeah,
know I can,
yeah.
and that is great in terms of the future because it's wide open, isn't it?
Mm, mm,
Which
mm.
way do I want to go? I can go anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
I suppose the challenge with that is choosing the right path.
Friend of mine, I think it was today or yesterday, he's just come out of 49 days alone in the dark.
Why?
Interesting, eh?
Why?
Interesting though, eh?
Yeah, but
I mean,
why?
I did 10. I've done 10 because I think if you can be complete, I mean, you've obviously done stuff on your own as well. I think if you can be completely on your own with the narrative of your mind, you're free. So that's why I would have done something like that. And I might do something longer, but 49 days is a long time, isn't it?
That is much longer than I've done. I did 46 days, 6 hours and 10 minutes, and I had fish to talk to,
Yeah,
and daylight, and
yeah,
sunrises and sunsets, and the
yeah,
beauty of nature, and
yeah,
dolphins. And
yeah,
to imagine to be sitting in a room like this with the lights off, that
yeah,
is hard.
yeah,
Inhumane, I'd say.
yeah,
Inhuman.
yeah. And beautiful at the same time.
Yeah.
There's a beauty of darkness. There's a beauty of silence that when it touches you, it's like medicine. That was my experience anyway. But I only did 10 days. Can you talk to me about some of those expeditions and more importantly, what you've learned about yourself by taking yourself into those extreme challenges?
Yeah. I mean, so my two boys were born early, right? My youngest lad was really early, and we lost him and got him back a few times, and he was really poorly. Had meningitis, premature, everything. So the hospital in Leeds, in the city we are right now, saved his life. So for 10 years, every year on his birthday, I'd give him his presents, and I'd just have to go off on my own, Craig. This
Mm,
wave of emotion, this unlocked box of trauma, had just spill out. Kind of part gratitude, part grief. I don't know what it was. But after 10 years, I was like, I've got to do something about this. And I felt the way to level that out was to give back, to pay back the debt of gratitude I felt I owed. So I decided I was going to row across the Atlantic Ocean on my own in 2022. And I chose that challenge because more people climb Everest every year
mm.
than have ever rowed an ocean solo. So it's a difficult thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Did that, became the fastest British person to complete the Telescope Ski Atlantic Challenge solo. Great, that's awesome. But we also raised 137,000 quid for the hospital, which is
Wow.
even better.
Wow.
I've now raised over 140,000, did the marathon this year. And I've just committed to another 4 ocean rows with a team called Row4MND, row4mnd.com. Myself and Matthew Parker have kickstarted this, and we've got an ambitious target to raise 57 million for MND
Mm.
research.
Is that
over the
related to Rob Burrows?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so supporting Leeds Hospital's charity Rob Burrow. My name is Doddy Weir,
yeah,
the
yeah.
MND Association. In fact, our boat, the nickname for our boat is 57, 5 for
Mm,
Doddy, 7 for Rob,
mm,
57 million. We're all around that.
mm,
And the rugby community. And we're hoping to, as I said, shift the dial on research and find a cure for MND in the next 4 years, mate. But here's the thing. I fucking hate going out to sea.
yeah,
They all love it, everyone else in the team.
yeah,
I hate it. I only do it because it's really hard for me
yeah,
and because it helps people. And I think you've got to sacrifice a part of yourself
yeah.
to make other people better.
You know when you've done an extreme challenge like that, I mean, only you know what you experienced. Um, it's obviously fucking hard, and your stuff comes up, and you talk to yourself, and you ask yourself questions, and you doubt yourself, and all that. Only you can register how that was for you. But how does it affect you going back into normal life? What is the polarity of that? Are there some challenges? Do you find that you're an upgrade version when you go back? How does that play out for you?
That's a good question. I think it again, it's a big brick in the wall. So in terms of self-belief moving forward, if you can row across an ocean on your own, you can pretty much do most things. So from a self-belief perspective, you go back into the world and you're like, okay, well, what's next?
Mm,
And you can pretty much do anything. I think it also reminds you of how grateful you should be for the things we take for granted.
mm,
On an ocean rowing boat, you go to the toilet in a bucket. So sitting down on a toilet
Yeah.
that doesn't move is luxury.
Yeah.
Sleeping in your bed, comfortable bed,
Mm.
is luxury. Sitting having a conversation with another human, someone that you've got time for when you're alone, is luxury.
Yeah.
And we take it for granted.
Yeah.
And so I think coming back from those expeditions into the real world, it's an opportunity to just take stock and say, okay, perhaps we should be more grateful for what we've got.
Yeah. Yeah. How's your relationship when you come back from something like that? Because obviously you've been away. She has a nervous system. She has a nervous system. She has a wounded little girl. You have a wounded little boy. You've been away from each other. Does it take a while to come back together, or
Not long. I mean, I said,
does the fact that your parents kind of glue you back together again?
no, I think the only thing I thought about every minute of every day was seeing my family again. And it was wonderful to miss them again. I don't think we miss each other enough when we
Yeah.
see each other every day.
Yeah.
I said to my wife that I'd call her twice a week. I wanted to be alone and disconnect. Called her twice a day, every day, crying my eyes out,
Mm. Mm.
just desperately lonely.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it doesn't take long to come back together.
Yeah.
You've got to find that puzzle piece. You've got to fit back together in life. Of course, you've been thinking you've had it hard at sea. She's had it a lot
Of
harder,
course. Of
looking after
course.
2 kids, 4 cats, and a dog,
100%. 100%.
holding a job down. That's the hardest thing.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
you're required to have to be able to do those things, and I'm very grateful for this, is an understanding and supportive partner at home.
Mm. Mm.
You can't be the best version of yourself without someone holding it together for you in the
Yeah.
background. You just
Yeah.
can't do it.
Yeah. I
I'm
hear.
very grateful for that.
I hear. She sounds amazing.
Cheers. She has moments, mate, but she is.
How does it feel having a wife like that behind you?
It's reassuring. I think all I ever think about, mate, when we go for a dog walk, right, in the morning, and the best hour of my day, and the thing I'm most grateful for every day is we get the kids off to school. I'm up working in the morning early, get ahead, get the kids off to school. I see them every morning before they go to school. And then we get our dog, Ziggy, our Staffet, and we go for a walk for an hour. We get a great coffee from our local
You
coffee
and your
shop.
missus?
Yeah, just me and Sarah.
Oh, that's
Through the
good.
park. And I always say to her, look at all these idiots commuting into Leeds, flying in the cars.
Mm.
You see them screaming in.
Mm.
That used to be me.
Yeah.
And now I've got that hour every day.
Yeah.
Just me and her walk through the woods, see nature, see the swans growing,
Yeah.
notice it, notice the seasons. I'm so grateful for it. And so when when you run your own business, anyone listening will know this. It's a 7-day a week, 365-day operation. Many sleepless nights trying to make it work. But those moments, they're worth 6 figures, mate.
Yeah.
They are worth 6 figures. And I'm very grateful.
You've just actually answered the next question that was coming through me. I was going to say to you, mate, how have you managed to keep your marriage together when you're doing all these things and giving? You just answered my question, that high quality connection time every single day.
Yeah, and I have a saying that if it's not in your diary, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So every Friday morning, Mike, Sarah, Jim is in my diary.
Yeah.
And so at least once a week, usually twice, we train together. And we have this saying that if you train together, you stay together.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when you're both busy.
Yeah, and what you see when you train together, and it's why I love Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's why I started that academy, it's what you learn in rugby and in the Marines.
Yeah.
This shared adversity,
Yeah.
struggling with others, builds extremely strong bonds because
Mm.
when you're struggling, I get to see the real you.
Yeah.
How do you cope with defeat? How do you cope with challenge?
Yeah.
Do you lift me up when you're tired, or do you get selfish and just look after yourself?
Mm.
So doing hard workouts, and we train really hard, we've done high rocks together and stuff. You see the real them, and you struggle together, and it creates a glue between you, which is unbreakable, mate.
Yeah. Tell me about your jiu-jitsu center, because when I met you last time, you spoke about it, you were smiling, you feel like it's doing a lot for the community, and it's obviously big at the moment, and with young men and older men. And I remember we speaking about you wish more young men would do it, if you wish it was in schools.
Yeah.
Tell me about the origins of your center and how you got into jiu-jitsu and how it serves you in life.
I mean, I'd been practicing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu since I was in the Marines before I went to Afghanistan, because we were in the Taliban caves. So we're like, we better know how to fight with our bare hands, fellas, because we might be scrapping with the Taliban, right? So I've been grappling since the early 2000s when Jiu-Jitsu wasn't even a thing. UFC started in '93 with the Gracie family, and they did that to showcase the power of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in a fight, right? But it had only just landed in the UK in around the year 2000, so I'd started very early. And I've now been training for nearly 26 years, been a black belt for nearly 9 years. I started, honestly, and I haven't told many people this, but I started Gracie Barra Round Day Leeds, my Jiu-Jitsu academy, in lockdown because it was the only thing knew I could do.
Mm.
So the MOD didn't support my ocean row, and they gave me an ultimatum. They said, keep your job or go and row across this ocean.
Right.
And the power of giving back to the hospital was way more than
Yeah,
that.
of course.
And I lost a lot of respect from when they didn't support me. So that's why I resigned.
Mm.
So I thought I better do something quick. I need to earn some money for my family, right?
Yeah,
So what can I do? Well, I can teach jiu-jitsu. And at the time, it was lockdown. So it was a contact sport in lockdown. Everyone thought I'd gone mad. I was like, no, you don't get it. This is a community I'm building.
Mm.
And we're now one of the largest in the world. We've been recognized, won awards, globally leading.
Amazing.
565 students train with us every single week from age 3 to 73. And we have great competitors, but we've also 99.9% of our community do jiu-jitsu to come together. And one of my proudest moments, mate, was stood in our academy. We've been open 5 years this year. After the first year, we had about 200 students. Grew really fast. And I stood back and I looked at them all at this big party that we put on for them to celebrate our first anniversary. And I thought, none of you knew each other
Yeah, you love
until
that,
you
don't
came
you?
here.
Yeah.
And I'd created that.
Yeah.
And man, if there's anything that you could be more proud of than to create bonds for other people, I'm not sure what it is. And yeah, got a wonderful team who run it. We want to be known for being one of the best in the world. We are. And I'm about to open my second in Leeds.
Good for you, man.
Yeah.
What can young men get from jiu-jitsu? If they get into jiu-jitsu and continue it for a while, what does it give to them, mate?
It humbles them. So everyone has this experience in jiu-jitsu, right? And mine was when I was a Marine, was fit, strong, blue belt, knew what I was doing. And I rolled with a woman called Vanessa English who had won the world championships at purple belt. She was 55 kilos. I was 80 kilos.
Yeah.
She battered me. I'm like, hang on a minute. I've been to war 3 times. I'm a commando. I blue belt in jiu-jitsu. I know what I'm doing. And it was like wearing a rucksack for 6 minutes.
Right.
And you go one or two ways when that happens to you. You either never come back because your ego can't handle it.
Spit your dummy out.
Yeah. Or you lean into it and go, show me this magic, please. Young men will have that experience. They'll walk through the door. I've had them. Ex-professional rugby players, current professional rugby players, doormen, bouncers, whatever, military guys, come in, get humbled by someone half the size. If they come back, they're a good person, I know. And it's losing, mate. That's what they get.
Yeah.
You've got to be humbled. You've got to lose.
Yeah.
Because then we see the real you. How do you respond to that?
I watched you on a podcast, and I have heard it before because I've heard coaches say it in rugby, but I liked it when you said it, that you either win or you learn.
Correct.
Great way to look at life, isn't it?
Yeah, and I see the mat. I always say the mat is a mirror. A mirror to your soul.
Yeah.
It's a mirror to your character.
Yeah.
When I put you in a room full of people and you've been sparring for an hour and you're tired, more tired than you've ever been, because grappling's a different type of physical activity, as you know, rugby league. And you're battered and you're losing and you're losing again and losing again, losing again. I'll see the real you. The mat is a mirror to your soul.
Yeah.
Are you a team player? Are you humble enough to learn? Or do you spit your dummy out, blame everyone else, storm off the mats?
Yeah.
I've had them all, mate. I've had thousands come through our community.
Yeah, you don't need a 20-question interview process. You just get them on a jiu-jitsu mat, right?
Mate, as simple as that. And I only ask 2 things of any of my students. So just turn up to your classes, commit to this. It's a long journey, it's a hard journey, but commit to it. And most importantly of all, be a good person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think if we all just were a little bit better,
more
of a good person, I think the world would be a better place.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. We're going to have to do a part 2, mate, because there's so much to speak about and we're running out of time. I've got one final question for you. So if I'm at a cinema now and the cinema's full and we're watching a movie called The Life of Mike Bates and we're coming up to this point and there's another hour left, which is your future, and the audience are rooting for you and they're watching you as you move into the next phase of life, what do they want for you? What do they want you to step into?
We definitely need to do a part two. The audience will have seen perhaps something that's going on in my life that I can't talk about right now. That is
Mm,
significant.
mm,
I've been trying to write a book for a long time,
mm.
and my former employer have been extremely difficult
Yeah, yeah,
and have done things to me over the last few years that are unforgivable. If the public knew about them,
right.
which they will one day,
Yeah,
they'd see them as unforgivable as well. And so I think that the audience will be rooting for me, and they would want to see me walk into a WH Smith's and take the book off that top shelf
yeah,
and give it to someone they care about because it's going to help people. So I think they'd want me to succeed on that level. And I also think they'd want me to find a little bit of peace for myself and to be kinder to myself every now and again.
yeah. Nice one. So that's the next hour of the movie, right?
I'll tell you all about. We'll do a part two and we'll do the next hour, mate.
Awesome. Beautiful. Mike, what a pleasure. What a legend. Where can viewers find you? Anything that you want to tell my viewers about what's coming next for you, and where can they find you?
Just head to my website, mikebates.uk. You can see all the projects I'm involved in there. Row for MD, Gracie Baha, Unify, which is a men's health business that I try and run as
Yeah.
well. So there's lots going on. Follow me on social media, Instagram, Mike Bates Official, and LinkedIn as well, mate. And reach out. I always say, if someone messages me, Craig, I'll always write back.
Yeah, yeah. Me too, mate. Me too. Good on you.
Thanks, mate.
Well, mate, it's been a pleasure, and look forward to the next one.
Cheers, brother.
Awesome, mate.